Hi and welcome to those of you who are new today to our webinar, which as of today is going to be fortnightly rather than weekly. And last week we had to cancel because of flooding, Zoom wouldn't work, just chaos. And here we are a week later, the sun is shining, and what a difference a week makes. So I hope wherever you are that you are safe and sound. If you jump into the chat now, I invite you to share what you do and tell us in under 15 words how you help people in your business and what you do. And of course, include your Instagram, your Facebook, your website, all the different ways that you'd like people to connect with you, and how you might find some great collaborations by being in here. So let me share my screen now, and we'll get started into our topic of the day, which is blogging, one of my favorite topics. And interestingly enough, I had a client this morning who said to me, we're working on her website at the moment, and she said, do you really think I need to add a blog? I don't really think blogging is a thing anymore these days. And I was like, oh, what do you mean? What do you mean? Blogging is like the most important thing on your website after collecting email addresses. That's the most important thing. The second most important thing, I believe, is having a blog post, because of course that means fresh content, which is magic for the Google gods. So we'll talk more about that shortly though. So I'm going to share my screen, and to those of you who've just arrived, just make sure that you put all your details into the chat and share what it is that you do to help people, and share all your social media platforms and your website or anything else that you would like to share. So at the moment, I'm going to share my screen, I'll press present, and we'll get stuck in. So any questions that you have, put them in the chat and I'll get to them before we finish. So today's topic is blogging in the Hello Media Digital Marketing Webinar Series. And it's the 5 W's and the H. So a million years ago, before I studied communications, I'd studied journalism. And this was the first thing that we learned, was in your first paragraph of any article, you must always include the 5 W's and the H, which is the who, what, when, where, why, and the how. And so I actually pretty much write everything thinking of that old way of how I first learned. So always making sure about adding in the who, what, when, where, why, and the how. And so even when it comes to a presentation, I also think about that when I'm planning my topic, etc. So you might want to make a little note of the who, what, when, where, why, and how, because it's definitely a useful thing. And as I said, I work with that every single day whenever I'm writing anything. So opportunities are abundant. Successful SEO is not about tricking Google. It's about partnering with Google to provide the best search results for Google users. Now, why do I mention that? Because we're talking about blogging. Well, blogging is the most fantastic way to get fresh content for Google. So when you are writing a beautiful blog post about a topic that you know a lot about, and then there's people out there searching for that information that you've just written about, wouldn't it be wonderful if your blog post came up and you were the first one that they saw and could click through to and learn all about that topic on your website? So it's a really wonderful way. That is your way of partnering with Google. It is giving them the best search results for the Google users, and Google loves fresh content. And when we weave keywords in through that fresh content, then you're absolutely winning in terms of being seen by the Google gods. So for those of you that don't know me, I'm Kylie and I build brands. I help entrepreneurs and businesses get visible online so they attract their customers to them instead of chasing them. I help people with simplifying the digital marketing through one-on-one and group coaching programs, as well as masterclasses and workshops. And one of my sayings I think it's my saying of the month this month, is it's not should we work on our digital marketing, but rather how well are we working on our digital marketing. But what even is digital marketing? We'll look at that in a moment. So I am a speaker, coach, mentor, writer, designer, educator, presenter, content creator, branding specialist, which all comes under the topic of business coach, specializing in digital marketing. And again, what is digital marketing? We'll look at that in a moment. I run a meetup group called Positive Passionate Business Women that you're all welcome to join. And I also have another webinar that happens on a Friday morning. It's 30 minutes and it's with Jenny Walk from Elephant in the Room Consulting. And it is called Bite-Sized Conversations. And there won't be one this Friday, but there will be one the following Friday. And the topic is all about money and where you spend your money in terms of Facebook ads, Google ads, all that other kind of stuff. Last week, our topic was money in general. And you can watch that by looking at our YouTube channel, because all of those recordings are on there also. And it's also a podcast, so you can see it there too. So let's get stuck in and talk a little bit about digital marketing in a moment. So if you're going to post content on your site anyway, you may as well take the time to make sure that Google takes notice of your efforts. And what a great way to do that than doing it with blogging. So first of all, though, what is blogging? So blog in its shortened form of its original name, which is weblog. And these weblogs allowed early internet users to log the details of their day in diary style entries. In the early days of blogs or weblogs, there was always the comments enabled at the bottom of the blog so that people could write lots and lots of things about what they thought about things and everything. That was before social media was such a big thing. And now we can share our opinions on anything and everything anytime we want, just by posting on our own Facebook account or on our own business page, or wherever we want to be sharing, particularly Twitter, for example. But back then it was very much a case that it was just where you would be posting your comments on blogs. Also, a lot of people just had a blog and it wasn't really mixed in with a website. So for some of you might remember Blogspot or WordPress started off as a blogging platform. And it was very, very easy to set it up. There was no homepage or landing page or anything. It was literally just your blog. And I had one many, many years ago. And I'm trying to remember the name of it, but it was, Bedside News. There you go. It was when my husband was in hospital for a year, and it was after a really intense, terrible accident. So I wrote Bedside News because Facebook had, back in those days, had only just begun. So by having Bedside News, it meant there I was sitting beside his bed in hospital on the laptop, just updating what was happening for people that wanted to keep tabs on his progress. So that was a great way of doing it. And then we moved it over to a horrible website platform back in those days. It was the one that I was advised to use, which was called Joomla. Oh, it's a horrible, horrible platform. It might be better these days, but I haven't given it another try. It was so horrible back then. But originally it started off on Blogspot, which I actually really quite enjoyed. It was fun to use. But I definitely recommend that people would have a blog as part of their website, that you wouldn't have a blog separate to your website, because then that's just driving traffic away from your site. And the idea is always to drive traffic to your website. Petra says, I had a blog about magpies a while ago. Great, on Blogspot. Wasn't Blogspot good? I liked it a lot. I presume it's still there, but definitely it was a very, very easy way to set up a blog. So what is a blog post? It's an individual web page on your website that dives into a particular subtopic of your blog. The post ties back to your overall blog topic as a whole, but it also addresses a very particular subtopic. It allows you to rank higher on search engines for a variety of keywords, but you don't want to keyword stuff. So an example of this is that the Hello Media website is all about digital marketing. It's got the services that we offer, the products that we offer, and obviously a blog on there all about topics to do with digital marketing. Now, it would be kind of weird if I had a blog post on there about how to make Play-Doh, unless I could find a way to relate it back to something to do with my business, but it's not. So there you go. This is why it's all about subtopics. So my subtopic then would be the 30 best hashtags you could use if you are a dog rescue company. I've got dog treats in my office, and I looked at that and went, 50% helps save rescue dogs. There you go. So that's why dog rescue place came up into my mind. But you anything that to do with your subtopic would be coming off what the whole topic of your website is. That's why the post ties back to your overall everything. So when it comes to allowing you to rank higher on search engines for a variety of keywords, that is meaning because if I'm doing a topic like 5 ways to increase your reach on Instagram, or 5 ways to get better engagement on Instagram, for example, then when people are typing in, how do I get better reach on Instagram? Then hopefully my blog post would come up. Then I'm being able to share my information, share value, share my expertise, and help. So I'm solving the person's problem that was Googling, looking for that answer. So, but what I've got to be very careful of is not keyword stuffing. So you might have 10 keywords that you just think are magic that you've got to be using, but try to just use 1, 2 at the most in your blog post. And of course, put that keyword in that heading as well where you can, and obviously in your alt text too. So let's have a little look at the Hello Media blog and what that looks like. So up the top, you'll see here that we have a little click down under more, and then it says the Hello Media blog. You go over to the Hello Media blog posts, and there they are. There's always, well, often in ours, you'll notice it's a certain number of things. It'll be a 12-step process or 10 tips or 7 reasons why, for example, because I find those very digestible chunks of information rather than a big, long, giant piece of prose. When you actually bite it up, break it up into bite-sized pieces, it's a whole lot more manageable. The thing on the right-hand side, when it goes to the next little part of this GIF, you'll also notice here that there's 2 blogs on our website. One is the Hello Media blog. The other blog is called Positive Passionate Businesswoman. So they're 2 completely separate standalone blogs. So you'll see down the right-hand side there, there's all these, it looks to you probably like little keywords, but what they are is they are tags. So then if you're looking for something to do with Instagram, you just click on Instagram and all the blogs about Instagram come up. So that's really important that you make sure that you have that on your blog, is that it's very easy for people to find a topic that they're actually looking for. Once they've made it to your website, that is, because you don't want them to have to be, going all the way back for 5 years worth of blog posts just looking for one thing. So make sure they're very easy, able to be searched, or easily able to be searched. So what is the purpose of a blog? Well, it's to show your expertise on a topic. It's to share your expertise on a topic. It's to rank your website higher in Google SERPs, which is search engine results pages, and increase your visibility. As a business, you rely on blogging to help you get to potential customers and grab their attention. It's also to make you searchable and competitive, and it's to connect you to the right audience or the relevant audience. What is the purpose of a blog still? To answer questions, to teach, to solve problems, to boost your traffic and send quality leads to your website. The more frequent and better your blog posts are, the higher the chances for your website to get discovered and visited by your target audience. Remember what I said before, if I was looking for hashtags to use on a rescue dog Instagram page, then I would have, for example, that title. You'd be Google searching going, I'm just starting up my rescue dog Instagram account. What hashtags should I use? And then my blog post will come up, click on it, and then all of a sudden you're there on my website. Now, if that blog post also led you to other places within my blog, within that blog, leading you places within the website, then you stay on the website for longer, which Google also loves. Google looks at lots of different things, so not just the right keywords that get people there, but then how long they spend on your site. So that's a really good one, is having a really great blog post that leads you elsewhere. So the pros and cons of blogging. Let's look at the pros. In fact, I couldn't really think of too many cons. So let's look at the pros first. Obviously, it's good for SEO. I've said that a few times already. It's a great way to use your keywords. When I'm working with clients and we have a spreadsheet with all the keywords that they're researching, I always say, let's have that extra tab there with ideas for blog posts, because as you're doing your keyword research, ideas will very, very quickly pop up for you that you could write a blog post on. So it should never really be an issue for you coming up with ideas as long as you're constantly researching keywords. Another pro is that it maintains communication with customers. So when I'm doing a speaking gig and I bring up something about why you need to have an FAQs page on your website, instead of me then going into a big long diatribe about why that's important and then I go away from the actual topic, what we can do instead is just put it into the chat with the link to a blog post I've written all about why an FAQs page is so important for your website. So it's a really good way to keep giving more and more and more information. And I wrote a blog post last Monday that will be in the chat for you any moment now, which is all about the importance of updating your blog post. Because one of the great things about blogs is that they're evergreen content. You can just they're there all the time. You can change the dates, bring them back up to the top again. And you can always just lead people to your site with just a snippet from your blog post. But the really important thing is, if you've got a, like, for example, if I've got a post in there all about updating your bio on Instagram, I've really got to go back regularly and update it myself, because the things are always changing, the best practices, the look of it. So if I have screenshots of what Instagram looks like, and then Instagram changes their whole look, then I need to replace those screenshots. So really important to remember to keep updating. So take a little look at that one. It's just in the chat now, the why and the how. Refresh your blog posts. So we sent that out in a newsletter last Monday when we knew that we weren't going to be able to have that webinar on last Monday. So have a little read of that when you get a moment. So the pros also is that it builds rapport with customers. It shows your expertise in different areas, and it's a really wonderful way to for customers to start getting to know you. Because of course, if you're talking in your brand voice, sharing your brand vibe, they're definitely getting to know what you and your brand and your business is all about. It gives value. So clearly, every tip that I'm sharing on my blog is giving value to the person reading it. It gives content for other digital marketing avenues. So what we do, or what my belief is that where you really need to start with your blog, in terms of your whole digital marketing strategy, is start with a blog post. That blog post is in the middle, and from the blog out it goes, and it can be content to put in your newsletter. So for your whole email marketing campaign, it can be content to put into social media. So think of 5 different posts that you could get out of one single blog post. You're also not only going to put it onto Facebook and onto Instagram, but you also can turn it into an infographic and put it onto Pinterest. You could also share it onto LinkedIn. You can share snippets of it on Twitter and keep that going for probably a month with little bits of snippets. And always remember to send people back to the site to read the rest of the blog. So it's a brilliant way to give more and more and more, or to get more and more content out of that one piece of writing. The cons are that it can be time consuming. At any one time, we've probably got about 10 partly written blogs sitting in the back of our website, ready to be edited, be added to, whatever. So yes, it can be time consuming. It's not often that I'll sit down and write a blog post from start to finish and press publish, because I'll write them, but then they need the graphics to be made to go with them. Or maybe I've made the graphic and written just a little paragraph, so I need to add on to it. Or maybe I've just literally written just an idea and I want to follow that up a bit later and actually write a whole blog post about it. So yes, time consuming, but you've just got to find a way that it works for you. As I said, for me, just little snippets, and then I come back to it when I can. Or maybe I'm working on an entire presentation and I think, whoa, that topic, that part of that would make a really, really good blog post. And so I go over to start writing it, and then I've just written the whole thing, quickly create the graphic, and off it goes. So every one of us sitting in here today will have a different way that it makes sense for them to write. But making sure that you're doing a blog post every week is so important for your SEO, for your website, for all kinds of things, and also to give you that wonderful amount of content to use on your social channels. Another con is also that it constantly requires fresh ideas. But as I said earlier, when you've got one of those spreadsheets where you're doing all of your keyword research, It's a wonderful way to then have another column in there that says blogs with ideas. Also another column, it could be FAQs, and you're constantly adding to it as you're researching your keywords. So for me personally, I'm never having an issue with coming up with ideas for blogs. It's more about the one above, which is the time consuming. So definitely when you're feeling in flow and you're on a roll, then definitely make sure that you're putting up ideas into that column, ideas of things that you could do for blog posts. There's got a little question here, which is, yay, hi Jody, which is from Alison. It says, how many words make a good blog? Well, there's a lot of different theories around this, Alison, and one is that there's a lot of people that say you really need to have minimum 800 words, but I feel differently about that. I'm on a different path, which is that I think it's better to write something than not to write anything at all, because you're too worried that you're trying to get to 800 words. So if you're writing only a paragraph or 2 paragraphs, that's better than not writing anything. And as long as you've got a keyword in there, and as long as you're sharing valuable information. So I often give the example of my daughter who's doing, you know, assignments and essays and things. She's in year 12. And she'll often say to me, I've made it to 1,100 words. I'm super happy with it, or with my assessment, but I've got to write another 400 words because the limit is 1,500. And I'm like, isn't that just crazy? Because then to me, if you're trying to make it to a word count, it can often be waffle. It can often just be adding willy-nilly words because you feel like you have to bulk it out. But I think if you've written what you want to write, you've written it concisely, it makes sense, it's got links in it to other places within your website, etc. You've done a great graphic, then 2 paragraphs is better than 800 words of waffle, is my opinion on that. But as I said, many people feel differently about that. Some say 800 to 1,000 is ideal, but I say do what you can. It's better to put something out there than nothing at all. Number 3 of the cons is that payoff is delayed. So that means that you can write your blog post today, but it's not necessarily going to get some great search results, etc., happening for maybe a little while down the track. So make sure that you don't put your blog post out there and go, yeah, I've won. I've done a great blog. I'm going to get loads and loads of traffic now, because that's not going to happen. It's a lovely, long, slow burn. But on the other hand, that payoff is delayed, but the pro of that payoff being delayed is that you're actually getting all that content to use right now for your social media, for example, and your email marketing. The next one is blogging in and of itself won't generate income. You can get income coming in from your blog in lots of different ways, affiliate marketing, all sorts of things. You can get advertisers on your site, etc. But at the end of the day, you don't write a post and then someone pay you money necessarily to read it, although there's ways around that too, which I'll talk about soon. But it's not like people put money in a slot and then out comes your blog post. So let's look at why blogging is so popular and why it should be even more popular. Well, it's flexible and it's portable. I was just talking to one of my clients this morning about this fantastic app that I have, and many of you in here know it. It's called Otter. And so I might be going on a walk, or I might be I've done a lot of hours of my daughter learning to drive of late. So I would sit there sometimes and I would suddenly have an idea for a blog post. So I will sit there, open up Otter and go blah, 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 talk into it about an idea for a blog post. Sometimes I'd blah, 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 blah so much, it would actually become an entire blog post. Then when I get back to my office, I can open up Otter on here. So it's all synced with my phone app. I can jump onto my computer. There are the words, and all I can do is copy, paste them into the back end of my website, into the blog section, edit it, and voila, I have a great blog post. So that's a super awesome thing to do. And that's called Otter. Yay, thank you, Melon. She's put the link into the chat. So it's free, by the way, everyone, with Otter. It's absolutely free, and it is a wonderful, wonderful idea. In fact, I was just saying to that same client this morning, a really great other way that you could use Otter is that if you're needing to take minutes in a meeting, then rather than scribbling frantically or typing frantically, you can just open up Otter, sit it there in the middle of the table, and it will transcribe the whole meeting. And then you can just edit it for your minutes. How good is that? The next one is it helps build trust with customers. So imagine if I had no blog posts on my website at all, I'd be having to do fresh content in another way, like as in updating my pages all the time or whatever it is that I would need to do to keep updating. But also, how would you know that I knew a lot more than what you just saw on pages on my website? So by me sharing my expertise and showing my expertise and all the different things that I'm writing or on topics of, then that helps you to understand. So you remember that whole topic that we've talked about before of the know, like, and trust factor? Well, this is very much about the trust. It's trusting that I have the knowledge, trusting that I have the expertise, trusting that I have the experience because of all the different articles that I'm writing as part of my blog. It also keeps clients up to date. So I can say to my clients, I can put something in the Hello Media Facebook group, for example, and I can say, hey, guess what? There's been another massive Facebook algorithm update. I've written all about it over on the blog. So here's the link so you can all go and read about it now. So that's a really great way to share recent updates, share things. Now I could write that whole thing in the Hello Media Facebook group, but firstly, that would be very, very, very long. Secondly, that doesn't then help get traffic to my website. So it's a great way by telling everybody in your Facebook group or on your business page or on your personal page that you've got this new blog post that they definitely need to read. Then that's a really great way of getting traffic there. The next one is, let's talk about the basic blog structure. So you need a header with the menu or navigation bar on any website. So you can see up the top, there's our header. We've got a logo, email address, and there we've got home, our offerings, blogs, more, and happenings. So that section up the top there is the header. The next one is the main content area with highlighted or latest blog posts. And actually on our website, we also have our latest 3 blog posts down the bottom of the homepage, because people are scrolling down and just before the Instagram feed, they can see the latest 3 Hello Media blog posts there. But this is actually once you go into the blog section. So you'll see that this is our main content. We have the headings in there. We have some little graphics, that have other words in there. And it's just really clear to see exactly what this blog post is all about. The sidebar, which could have your social profiles, your favorite content, or your call to action. In our instance, the sidebar of the blog has those topics. So you can either go into search. So you could search for a topic on Instagram, for example, or if you come into here, I know it's probably a little bit tricky to see. Whoa, I just, that was weird. I just lost that for a moment. You can click on here and you can click on Instagram, and then that will bring up all of the Instagram topics there ready for you, just like that. And then the footer, which is the part of the website at the very, very bottom that doesn't move or change around. It's where you've got relevant links like a disclaimer, privacy policy, your contact page, all that kind of thing. So in there, we have also where you can sign up to a newsletter, more info. We have any little latest announcement we want to make. And of course, contact details, social media channels, all that, how people can pay, et cetera, et cetera. Lots of things that are going on that basic blog structure, or which goes within the website. So blogs and website, what is the difference? So the blog promotes reader engagement, and readers can sometimes comment and voice their different concerns and thoughts of the community. As I said earlier, it was a really popular thing when blogs were first new, that you could comment at the bottom. For me personally, I have my comments turned off. I don't want people to be able to comment on there, because that's where I get full of spam. And you can actually choose in the settings of the back end of your website, do you want people to be able to comment and then you just can moderate their comments, or do you want to just automatically have them approved, or do you not want comments at all? So I personally don't want the comments there. I'd rather at the bottom part of my blog post say, hey, go over to the Hello Media Facebook group where we're discussing, and I'll say that topic and a link to that section on it, which for me works a whole lot better than having comments. But for some of you, it might be really important that you have the comments open. So it all depends on your business, your brand, what it is that you're offering, and what you want to be happening there. Another one is that blog owners update their site with new blog posts on a regular basis. I would not recommend anything like one blog post a year or one blog post every 6 months. Aim for once a week, at the very least, do once a month, and then make sure that you're trying to up that all the time. And remember, done is better than perfect. So publish that blog post, do a great graphic that goes with it, and then go, yes, it's out there. Share it in your newsletter, share it on social media, and then come back to it a month later and update it if you need to. So remembering that blog post I wrote from last week about the importance of refreshing your blog is definitely very, very important. So jump in there and just fix up anything that you need to do with an update. Also on a blog, you can add a publishing date, author reference, categories, tags to categorize, etc. So you don't really do that on a page on a website or a product on a website. You'd never really add the date that you wrote that page, for example. Whereas a great thing about the blog is I know when I'm Googling something, looking for some latest information, I love it that there's a blog, that there's a date on a blog post, because what I was trying to give you the latest information on a topic, and yet there it was saying it was written in 2017. That would be super frustrating. So make sure that you've got a date on there. Or what about when you go to a website and you see that their latest blog post was from 2017? Then you're like, not really sure there's anything very current right here. Is this business even still viable? Is it even still happening? So make sure wherever you can that you are updating, that you're giving it fresh content, and that you maybe go into an old blog post and just refresh it and give it a new date and publish it again today. So website, on the other hand, consists of the content presented on static pages. And the content on a static page will not change from one visit to the next, usually. So that's why incorporating a blog into your website is a wonderful way to be able to give fresh content. So what about who is a blogger? And this is different to a vlogger, but that's a whole nother topic as well. So bloggers are individuals who love sharing information. Someone who runs and controls a blog, shares his or her opinion and knowledge on different topics for a target audience. Vloggers, on the other hand, are people that are video bloggers. Generally speaking, they're mostly on YouTube or Vimeo to a certain extent, and often now on Facebook video, et cetera, but mostly people think of them on YouTube. So vloggers, it's a very, very similar thing to being a blogger. It just happens to be in a video format. And one of the cool things about InVideo, which is the video platform that we use, is that you can, within video, turn a blog post on your website into a video. Very, very clever. So it's just giving you more ways to be able to use your blog content. So how can you make money as a blogger? Well, there's heaps of ways. You can sell ad space on your blog privately or via Google AdSense, for example. You can become an affiliate partner privately or through ads networks. You can sell your own digital products such as ebooks and tutorials. You can sell memberships for access to exclusive content or advice. You can use your blog as a content marketing tool for your business. So when I explained that one before, which was that you write your blog post and then you've got content for your social posts, content for your email marketing, content for all the different places that you want to put it. But you all of that started off with that first one blog post. Also, I know somebody that wrote this, that has this really amazing blog, and it's about a really intense, very personal and private topic, and it's hard to read. And she definitely wanted to monetize it. Like, she wasn't able to work for a really long time due to what happened to her. So when she decided to start blogging about it, she thought, I really actually need to start bringing an income in from sharing my story. And so she wrote one blog post, and then at the very bottom of that, you can sign up to buy the next chapter. So it's almost like a book, really. So the first one there is for you to read it. And of course, it's so amazingly well written. It's so compelling. It's so like, oh, I've got to know what comes next in this terrible story, which is actually very uplifting and all that kind of thing too. But then once you read that, you can then buy, and I think it might be as little as $1.99. So it doesn't make, it's not a, what am I trying to say? It's not difficult for the brain to think, can I spend that next $1.99 to read that next bit? And then you get access to be able to read the next, and then read the next, and read the next. So that was a very, very clever way for her to start being able to bring some income in. And maybe one day, eventually, when she's completely finished sharing that entire story, she might then be able to sell that whole thing as an ebook, or she might be able to sell it as a published printed book. Who knows? There's a lot of different options out there for her. But you can just think of all the different ways that you might want to be monetizing a blog for yourself. Karen says, would you make your other social media posts around your blog topic for that week, etc. weekly tip? Yeah, I would, for sure. And then you can drive people to your website by giving a little snippet or a little excerpt from your blog post and say, to read all about that, click here and read my latest blog post, for example. But also there's no reason why, if you've got a blog post from a year ago, that you can't still be driving traffic to that blog post with little snippets that you share, because I'm sure you've got so much that you could share and people don't know what they don't know. So little snippets here and there, and they're like, oh, definitely I want to know about that. And then they click through and read all about it. So where can you share your blog posts? So Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, LinkedIn, Reddit, SlideShare, Medium, through your email marketing, through Quora. So as I said, what we do is we create a blog post. And what I do at that point is that I create the graphic that goes with that blog post. So it's like a wide part, sort of like a slider that goes at the very, very top of the blog post, because I like the graphics in there. We'll talk about that in a moment. I then at the very, very same time, I resize that because, of course, I'm doing it in Canva, which is such a great platform. This presentation is made in Canva and I'm sharing it from Canva. So I resize it for Instagram. So I've got a square version there. So that means that I can pop that into my newsletter. I can pop it into Creator Studio, so schedule it for Facebook and Instagram, etc. And so all of a sudden I've got, spent very little time creating that graphic. I've got my blog post ready to go. I've got my socials graphics ready to go. I can put that into the newsletter as well and share that too. So all of those things happen at once. The only time that I make it different is when I'm putting it up on Pinterest, and I'll create more of an infographic or a new size. And again, it can just be resized in Canva to go up onto Pinterest, which is great. So what about some stats? So storytelling, which is in effect what you're doing with your blogging, boosts conversions by 30% when used to answer customer questions. So for example, if the question was, again, about the dog rescues, what keyword or what hashtag should I use for a new rescue dog Instagram account? So then I, in my blog post, would be sharing about my experience with dog rescues, would be sharing my experience in all kinds of different ways, sharing my experience with how to research your own hashtags, et cetera, et cetera. And then I'd put 10 in there that I would think would be great for you guys to try out. So that there is me storytelling. It's me sharing a little experience and it's me sharing my knowledge. So it's definitely a great way to answer your customers' questions. 62% of B2B marketers rated storytelling as an effective content marketing tactic, and B2C marketers place greater importance on storytelling than B2B marketers. So you definitely need to find ways of telling stories. Oh, Alison says, can you tell me what size on Canva for the header, please? Well, yes, I can. I'm just trying to think what I do. I'm pretty sure if you just go and search for the size as website, I'm positive that's what we use for ours. So blogging, examples of different types of blog posts. So how-tos are really, really good. Top tips, list-based. What about what is or pillar post? So pillar posts, for those of you that may not know, they're the big meaty posts. They're useful, actionable, well-written, and they're engaging. They're filled with relevant images and audio or video files to support the points you're making in the text. As a result, pillar posts have something that 99% of other blogs posts don't have, which is longevity. So we want longevity because that's great evergreen content. So it'll be relevant for years and years to come. Just remember, you need to go and refresh it from time to time. And also infographic. That's a great type of blog post also. Very important with an infographic that you're also remembering your keywords in your alt text, etc. Because when you've put a graphic on your website, then Google's not reading the graphic. They're only reading the actual name of the graphic and the alt text in there. So I would be mostly using the infographic to be putting into Pinterest, for example, and having content in that blog so that Google knows those keywords and are picking up on all of that. So let's just, the other one I wanted to say was about the top tips. So for example, 5 reasons why, or 10 top tips to do, or why you must need, that kind of a thing. As soon as you put it out there with a title like that, people are like, yeah, I need to know that. I want to find out that information. And then they click through and will read it. So top tips and best practices for blog writing. We've written 7 for you here. So let's get cracking. Number one, plan your content. Pick a topic, do some research, make sure you check the facts, and always credit those authoritative sources when you're quoting information. It's terrible when you've spent so much time and effort writing your blog post and then you see something almost identical written on your competitor's site. You're like, So if you're actually using an excerpt out of somebody's, the research that you've chosen, make sure that you credit where credit is due and you do a link that goes through to them and tells them that that's where you got the information from. Number two, write an intriguing, attention-grabbing title. Blog titles are the first part of your blog post that your readers will see and the part that's responsible for getting them to click through and read the rest. So that title is very, very, very important. So your blog title should be engaging. It should be short and sweet. It should include a keyword, but remember, don't go crazy with that. It should appeal to emotions. I've taken a little screenshot here of one of our blog posts, which is kind of probably from like a year ago now, but it was 10 social media post ideas to share during COVID-19. Now, when COVID first hit, a lot of businesses did not know what to say. They did not know what to do. They were worried that if they just carried on about business as usual and wrote, friendly posts and friendly social media posts, etc., that it was really not showing a lot of empathy to what was going on out there in the world. So I wrote a blog post all about different ideas that you could share on your social media so that you weren't necessarily getting completely caught up in the drama of everything, but that you were showing empathy, you were showing all kinds of things. It also was helping people to understand what they could say to their customers before, who was maybe still being able to come and buy coffee, but they weren't able to dine, for example. So that was a really, really successful blog post that got a lot of traffic. And then when you were reading that blog post, you could download something which was a lead magnet, which was all about, I think it was 50 hashtags to use during COVID. So that was also a really, really good one that got downloaded a lot because, of course, people were really stuck with, how do we do this? What do we do? What hashtags should we use, etc. So that was a good one. So I pretty much covered all the topics in this one particular blog post. It was engaging, it was short and sweet, it included a keyword, and it appealed to people's emotions. So, for example, what on earth do I post at this time? And there you go. I killed it with everybody being able to know exactly what they wanted, what they needed to know. So number three is write an intro and make it captivating. Grab your reader's attention in the first paragraph or few sentences in your introduction. And this is the hook that keeps them wanting to know more. Remember what I said at the very, very beginning about when I was first at journalism school and learned about needing to address the 5 W's and the H in the first paragraph. So that's a really, really important one to remember in this instance, for example. Number four, organize your content in an outline. And readers should not be overwhelmed by the length or amount of your content. So that kind of comes up again about when that question was asked before about how many words should it be. And I said, I just don't really buy into that, even though many others do. And many experts say that it should have a certain amount of numbers. But for me, if it's just really, 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 really long, that will completely overwhelm me. I'm like, I just don't have time to read that. But when I see it in bullet points, when I see it with headings, then I can just absorb that in chunks, which feels a whole lot better. Or if I see it's just a few paragraphs, immediately that feels a little bit less overwhelming to read. The next one is create a list of tips or questions and organize them into related groups. Then start prioritizing the most important. That for me is the easiest way to write the blog post, is that second part there. I just have the tips or I just have the little bullet points and then I flesh it out from there and prioritize what's the most important. Number 5 is use bullet points. So remember to highlight your best information and express clear benefits. Think of bullets as mini headlines. So don't make the entire blog post just bullet points, though. That's a really important thing. Just put bullet points in where you really want people to notice certain parts of it. Number 6, add images or graphics. So the human brain processes visual content a lot faster than text-based content. Do you remember that line that a picture speaks 1,000 words? So make sure that those graphics really relate to what it is that you're talking about in your blog post. The next one is you need to name your images correctly for SEO. So make sure that you've got keywords in your image names and that you're not just calling them what they came off the camera, like DSP00279.jpg, that you've actually resized them and that you have renamed them so that you can then put them on your website and they can be found when people are doing a Google image search. Up will come the pictures from your blog post. Also important to add alt text to your images. So make sure when you go into the back end of your website, you learn how to add the alt text for your particular platform, and that you do that on every one of the images, not just your blog post, but also on all of your pages, products, etc. Also add a featured image. This is the primary image that can often be found at the top of content pages and articles. So that's the one that I said that we do for every single blog post, and it will often have the name of the blog in there or something to do with the name of the blog, which is interesting because I've got the name up there already, but mostly people are reading what's on the image rather than what is the title. And they've looked at the title elsewhere on the blog. That's how they've ended up clicking through and reading it. So 90% of info transmitted is visual. 40% of people respond to visual info, respond better to visual info than text. And your brain processes visuals 60,000 times faster than text. Hence why some really great graphics are really, really important, not just words. Number 7 is write your conclusion or summary and nail it. You need to motivate your readers, summarize the key points, ask a question, ask readers to share your post, link to another post, but give a really, really clear call to action of what you actually want them to do. So if you want them to read another post, you need to say, click here to read blah, 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 title. Or want to know more about that? Question mark. Click here to read more. So always make sure that you're giving really clear directions of what it is you want to do. Don't just put a link underneath and expect that they know that they should click there to go and read more about that topic. Or it could be that I say on the bottom of mine, want to know more about Instagram? Click here to see all the topics we've written about with Instagram. And it will take you to the search section where all of the blog posts to do with Instagram would come up. The question is, can you add a video to a blog or a link to another speaker, etc.? Yes, you definitely can. And I was just showing how to do that last week in our Grow Your Website Masterclass. So when you open up the blog post and you've got something on YouTube, for example, that you'd like to share, grab the embed. That's a terrible one for my accent, but that is EMBED, the embed code. And pop that into, so when you would then upload a video, then you just pop in that embed code in there, and then beautiful, there it is sitting on your blog post, and people can just click play and they get to watch the video that you've shared from YouTube. So that's a really, really great way to do that. And the other part of your question was, or a link to another speaker, etc. Yes, you definitely can. So in there, you can link to anywhere you like. You could even put in, like I could put into my blog posts, oh, and I've done a webinar on that topic, press play on the video below. And so if it was a topic all about the importance of doing your Google My Business and updating it regularly, then I could do a link through to the webinar on Google My Business. So having a video included in there is a really, really wonderful thing to do. So yes, you could speak to Dan, who invented the Tickies tool, speaking about dogs and ticks. That's a very, very wonderful idea, Francine. I agree. So in summary, if you want to become searchable and rank higher on Google search, which remember is search engine results page, write blogs consistently. Update your website with fresh blogs regularly. Share your blogs on different social media platforms to drive more traffic to your site. Aim to answer your customers' questions on your blog post, so consider Quora. And in fact, I wrote a blog post about why you should be using Quora, so you can have a little look for that in a moment in the chat. And use keywords on your blogs, but don't keyword stuff. Remember to focus on just 1 or 2. Don't put a whole load of keywords in each blog post. So each time you sit down to create your post, ask yourself, is what I'm about to post going to help, inspire, motivate, or add value in some way. What is the reason for you to be posting? What is the reason for what you are sharing? Is it because you have so much amazing wealth of knowledge on that topic that you're ready to share it? So that is a great reason to be doing it. Merlin, if you could put in there's a blog post about why people should be using Quora. If you can find that link, that'd be awesome. Thank you. Oh, Jody, that's a very lovely thing to say. Thank you very, very much. Appreciate that. So guys, make sure that you're in the Hello Media Facebook group. And once you are, look for the pinned post, which looks like this. And it's a follow ladder. So it says, leave your social handles below, make it easy for people to follow you. And you can try it like this. So I've written, hi, I help businesses get visible online. I'm Kylie and I build brands. And in there I've tagged the Hello Media Facebook page, the Facebook group, and then, of course, put in the Instagram account URL. So then you jump into the comments below and you put yours in that same kind of way. And then you go through all the people above you and you follow them and like them, et cetera, et cetera. And it's a wonderful way to grow yourself organically and to really increase your numbers. Which reminds me, Terry, have you done that one lately? Because that would be a great way for you to be growing your Facebook numbers and getting people to come and see what you do and what you offer. So definitely make sure that you find the ladder, which is the pinned post, and spend the time commenting and following everybody underneath. And then remember to write done under each one. So I'd love to put this challenge forward to you, which is get stuck into writing fresh content today. Create a blog post. Let me know in the chat if you're feeling ready to write a blog post. And have you got an idea for a topic of what you might want to write it on? So tell me in the chat and let me know if you have a topic. I can see Brenda's in here, who owns Brenda's Curtains and Casino, and she's about to go online. So her website's almost ready to launch. So there's so many different blog topics. She could have at least 5 blog topics written, or a whole blog post written in behind the scenes, so that when the website gets published, boom, they're ready to go, which will really help with her SEO. So topics, for example, like what are curtain trends or soft finishing trends in 2021? She could do it on colors. What are the trending colors that people want in their soft finishings or in their decor and their interior design, for example? Then we can move away from trends and go, how do I hang the curtains with the right length? So even though Brenda makes made to measure curtains, and she does, she sells curtains that are ready-made that you can also buy. Also, she sells the hardware or the fittings as well. So maybe you've just bought some curtains or someone gave you some curtains, but you want to hang them. And it's like, oh, do I do it where they're a little bit ruffly at the bottom, or do I lift them up so there's a gap underneath? So a blog post all about that. Or like, for example, 5 ways to hang curtains, or 5 top tips for curtain hanging DIY, for example. Oh, Katrina says, yes, I'm going to write about how to reason with your GP and get what you want. Yes. Kate says, ready to write my first blog post, and I'll start with taking your first step to feeling fabulous inside and out. I love that, Kate. I'm going to read that. Petra says, just started a listicle. I love a listicle. 18 free business templates and tools. I love it. What I would add to that title is 18 free business templates and tools to help you with, or to help you do, or something like that, so that we actually know what the outcome that we're going to get from reading what those free business templates and tools are. Yay, Terry, excited now to create new blogs. That's awesome. And Terry, you've got all that phenomenal amount of content that you're sharing with all these tips for how to clean your house using essential oils, and, you know, just spring clean and refresh and do all of that with essential oils. So each one of those posts could be a blog post. So in fact, that one that we looked at this morning, and I said break that up into 5 different posts, that is a great place to start with your blog. So start with that one post and just blog from there. It's a wonderful thing to do. So basically just refreshing your pantry. That's a whole blog post just like that. What about... Renee, yay. 5 ways to celebrate your dog's birthday. Yes. What about And I realize it's a little late in terms of driving traffic to your site for people to buy and then get the products before Easter, although that said, if they're living quite close by, it still could be good for Sydney siders and East Coast people. But something like 5 ways to ensure your dog has a great Easter without the chocolate that's so bad for them. And so it could be all the lovely little treats that you sell, but also all the beautiful dog toys that are Easter related. So that's a great way to get people looking at it. And then also a lot of people don't even know that chocolate is bad for a dog. So writing a whole post about things that are bad for your dog. And as you know, we have a puppy and she just loves apples. So I thought, oh, let's just give her fruit. So I went to give her some grapes the other day and I said to our daughter, who is the parent of the dog, and I said, oh, can I just give her some grapes? And she went, I'm not sure, I'll just Google that. And I thought, oh, you're a clever, smart thing. So she started Googling all the different things that you can and can't give a dog in terms of fruit or veg or whatever, and it was fascinating. So I think you could write all kinds of posts about that, because a lot of people think that feeding their dog from their plate is a really good thing, but often there's things in there that actually they can't eat that are harmful to them. So all those kinds of things is a great topic. So Tamara says, I just wrote one on my experience post, post-surgery procedure, practicing what I've preached. I love that. Tamara, that's all part of sharing your story. And it's so important, because if I'm then going to be having surgery and I'm feeling a little nervous or anxious or even just what to expect, then I find your blog post, not only am I getting tips, but I'm also hearing your experience. And that is so incredibly important. Jolene says, so excited to start writing blog posts for Angie's website. Yay. Thank you, Kylie, for all the tips. You're welcome. Oh, and Kate says, thanks, Terry, for introducing me. That's very nice. Good, Christine. I'm glad. Karen says, when I relaunch, I hope to start blogging too. One I've been thinking about is, were you born to be an event manager? Personality traits for a successful event manager. That's a really, really good one. Or it could be other things like 5 reasons why you need to hire an event manager, because a lot of us think we can just do it all ourselves, but the truth is we can't. So when it says number 1, organize the venue, number 2, organize the food, number 3, and when you get to number 3, you're like, oh, that's overwhelming. And then number 5 could be, get in touch with me and I will make your event an absolute success. And I'll be like, yes, I'm booking you. So next one says, now more than ever, we want to see the human side of a brand. Show the world what you stand for. Be more purpose-driven, more human, more imperfect, more real. And remember what I said earlier, done is better than perfect. So publish that blog post and then come back to it later on and give it a bit of a zhuzh up. So we have a special offer today, because as of the 1st of March, which is in just in a few days' time, we're changing the whole structure of our offerings. So there'll be a completely different way of pricing our group coaching, etc. So at the moment, up until the 1st of April, if you want to join our group coaching, which is a 6-month program where you get accountability every week, where you get lots and lots and lots of value, etc. Sorry, yes, 1st of April. Sorry, Petra, yes. Then you can do so at this price that it is offered at right now, and you'll get a free or bonus one-on-one. And so as in one-on-one with me, so a 60-minute session with me right at the very beginning of you starting group coaching, so we can really work out where it is that you're heading, etc., etc. So with the group coaching, we change topics every few weeks. So at the moment, for example, it's Instagram, so updating your bio and all that other kind of stuff. Then the next session is Instagram stories, how to do all of that. Then the next session after that is the final bit, all about how to do lives and all of that kind of stuff. Then we move into websites. So there's 2 different group coaching groups, and they're all at different stages with topics that they're covering. So if you want to get involved with that for the price that it is now, before it all changes on the 1st, then you can do that. And plus, you're going to get the very special extra bonus of a one-on-one session with me. So that's an extra $320 worth of value. So the link to that will be in the chat any moment now for you to go and sign up and look at that. Oh, I just see, it's like magic. I said it and it's appearing. How lucky am I with my amazing team? So the next topic, which is not next week, it's the week after that, and it actually happens to be on my birthday. And the topic is captivating content. One of my favorite things to talk about. As I said earlier, I started out doing journalism before I went into communications, and in there I majored in radio and TV. But everything I've always done is based on writing. It's my biggest love of all. So I really love talking on that topic and sharing with you about how to write captivating content. So if that excites you, then pick up your phone, open up the camera app and scan that QR code, or it will be in the chat any moment now. And what you might want to do is so that you can connect with everybody that's in here and follow them. And, you know, just you might find someone fantastic to do a collaboration with. So just click the three little dots when you put into the chat, and then that will save the chat and you can get all that information later on and follow all of those up. Oh, honey, that's just come to me. If you can just share it to everyone, that would be awesome. Thank you. Okay, so what else is coming up? We have, not this Friday, because it's Good Friday, but the following Friday in our Bite-Sized Conversations webinar, we have, the topic is digital marketing spend. So it's all about how you will spend money, or should you spend money on Google ads, Facebook ads, et cetera, et cetera. So all the things around about money and where you spend it and how you spend it. So every time you post something online, you have a choice. You can either make it something that adds to the happiness levels in the world, or you can make it something that takes away. So think about what blog post you're going to share, go and put it out there, and then jump into the Hello Media Facebook group and tell us all about your new blog. And then we can go over, read it, enjoy it, and likewise then put it on your Facebook page as well and invite people to go and look at it. So let me stop the share. Oh, I've gone over time, which I try not to, but only by a few minutes. So let me just go stop. Oh, I'm not sure why it won't stop share. Who can unmute themselves and tell me what you can see?
All the pictures.
Oh, yeah. Okay, for a little while there, it felt like we were stuck in the share. Can you guys all turn your cameras on and let's have a little photo? Because remember, if there's no picture, then it didn't even happen. So let's have a photo. It was my daughter's 18th birthday celebration yesterday, and there was 2 kids there that just didn't want a bar of photos. And I was like, it didn't even happen if there wasn't even a photo. They were like, oh, you're so millennial. I know. All right, so let's have a little wave. 3, 2, 1. Hey. Thanks, guys. Thank you so much for being here. Join the Hello Media Facebook group, where you will see lots of tips and things shared like that. And anything that wasn't answered in the chat, although I'm hoping that I answered it as we went along, will be answered in the Facebook group. So we share a lot of things in there all the time, particularly questions that have popped up from today. Oh, you're very welcome, Kate. Thank you very much for being here. Yay, off to write my first blog. That's very good news, Kate. I'm happy to hear it. Okay, guys, thank you so much for being here. Awesome to see you all. And I look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks' time with captivating content, or on the Friday for money and where you spend your money with digital marketing. And should you even be spending your money? So thank you. Have a wonderful week and a great Easter when we get to it. I'm very excited about a few weeks of chilling. So have a wonderful Monday afternoon, everyone, and stay safe. Bye.
Bye, Kylie. Thank you.
Thank you.